Hey, Mike with Marketing Systems by Design here, the channel where we help cleaning business owners generate more traffic, leads, and sales for their business with digital marketing. In today's video, I'll be walking you through 11 ways to optimize your Facebook ads for your cleaning business, so let's get into it. So one thing to understand is that Facebook ads can be a very powerful marketing tool for a cleaning business, but there's a lot of little details and things you need to pay attention to that can make your campaign either successful or unsuccessful. And so the first thing you want to look at is targeting. And so when you're running your Facebook ads, one thing that we see a lot is that people will jump in and put in a bunch of different demographics that they think is going to match their ideal customer. And certainly this can be a great place to start, but another thing to understand is that when you're running Facebook ads, if the audience you're advertising to is too small, Facebook can't effectively optimize the ad, and in some cases they might not even run the ad. So if you're running your Facebook ads to a small local area or various different zip codes that you service, if you try and throw in a bunch of other optimization factors, sometimes it can make your audience too small and your ads aren't effective. Now, one thing that we've found to be effective with clients is that with Facebook ads, you can target the top 50% of household incomes in a given area. So first you'd filter down by the zip codes or your service area for your cleaning business, and then you might try adding in that additional filter, the top 50% of household incomes in your area. Now again, it doesn't mean that people that don't fall into that category aren't going to hire a cleaning service, but in most cases we've found that residential cleaning and hiring a house cleaner tends to be more of a luxury than an essential. And so usually people that have higher household incomes are going to be the people that do hire your cleaning business. Now again, this isn't perfect, so what you want to do is run an audience maybe that is targeting everyone in that zip code and see how that performs for a while, and then test it against this top income audience. And so when you do that, you can compare and see how they perform against each other versus just guessing what works. The second tip for you is to use your Facebook pixel effectively and to use lookalike audiences. And so what you can do is you can actually install a Facebook pixel on your website, and this is important for a lot of reasons, but one of them is that it allows you to create custom audiences that eventually you can build lookalike audiences from. So when someone visits your website or a specific page on your website, when the pixel is properly installed, Facebook can track that. And so ideally, you want to make custom audiences of your most high value pages on your website. So this can be things like your free estimate request pages, but especially your thank you page that people get sent to after they submit an estimate request. If you're trying to hire employees, maybe you have a custom audience set for people that visit the job description page or an employment page. Then the same type of thing, you maybe have a thank you page that people get sent to after they submit an application, and then you build a custom audience based on that. And then eventually what you can do with these different custom audiences is once they get big enough, you can create a lookalike audience. And so what this does is this further allows Facebook to optimize your ads and build audiences that are similar to these custom audiences. So for example, if you're trying to get more estimate requests and you build a custom audience of those that visit the thank you page after submitting an estimate request, typically these are very highly targeted people. Another important thing you can do, which is tip number 3, is use retargeting in your ads. So understand that not everyone that sees your Facebook ad for the first time or visits your website for the first time is going to be ready to hire and buy from you. Because of this, you want to have some type of remarketing in place where you can get additional exposures of your ads and your business to these people. And so when you effectively use Facebook pixels, you can target people that have engaged with your ads in the past, that have visited specific pages on your website and more. So for example, you could set up an ad that targets people that came to your free estimate request page but didn't submit an estimate request. And so on top of that, you can even alter the text and say something like, hey, it looks like you checked out our cleaning services but didn't request an estimate yet. Here's some of the top reasons why people choose to hire us, and then you might include various different testimonials from your clients. So again, remarketing is very powerful and a strategy you can use to optimize your results on Facebook ads. Tip number 4 is to properly utilize tracking on Facebook. And so one option through Facebook is they have standard events that you can insert on different pages on your website. So this gets a little bit technical, but what you can do, for example, is when someone reaches that thank you page after submitting an estimate request, that's going to track in Facebook as a lead when you set it up that way. Or again, maybe you have specialty services like carpet cleaning or window cleaning, and you have a separate opt-in form and a separate thank you page that people go to after they've submitted that estimate request. You could create a custom conversion for something like window cleaning estimates or carpet cleaning estimates. Or again, if you're trying to hire on Facebook, you could create a custom conversion for that job application thank you page and call it something like job application submissions. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with tracking. But when you do this, not only does it improve your tracking and help you understand how your ads are working and what you might need to improve, but you can also create conversion ads at this point where Facebook can go in and actually optimize for those specific conversions you created, which is very powerful. Now this actually leads into tip number 5, which is verifying your domain on Facebook. So there's been a lot of changes recently, various updates to the Apple iOS, and giving people the ability to opt out of tracking. And so this can mess with some of the metrics that you're going to see and some of the optimization process as well. And so if you want to run conversion ads, you need to optimize and verify your domain through Facebook. So this gets a little bit technical, but thankfully Facebook walks you through this in the ads platform. Typically you need to update the DNS record or install specific code on the website. So if you don't know how to do this, the marketing agency you're working with can, or maybe your web tech person can do this as well. But Facebook has some tutorials out there also if you need to have this done. But this is important because it'll allow you to optimize for those conversion ads. Without this, then you're stuck running traffic ads, which isn't the worst, but again, it maybe isn't the ideal option that you want to use. Tip number 6 for you is to use real images in your Facebook ads. One thing to understand is that people come to social media to be social and engage on the platform. And so if your ad is using stock photos or fake images versus real photos, your ads can really stand out. Either people are going to tune them out because they're so used to seeing stock photos, or they'll immediately see that it's an ad and just scroll right past it. So you want to stand out, and one way to do that is to use real images of your employees, of your cleaning technicians in action, or if you're running employment ads, to use a smiling, happy team photo to draw people's attention versus using stock photos. Tip number 7 for you is to focus on benefits messaging in your advertisements. Now, one thing to understand with Facebook ads is that most people that you're showing your ads to aren't necessarily actively looking to hire a cleaning service. And so because of this, simply running an ad that lists the features like vacuuming and cleaning, floor polishing and more, whatever the case might be, that's not really going to stand out to people. Your job in these ads is to sell people on why they should hire you. And so you really need to focus on benefits versus features and sell people on why they should hire you. So again, think of what is the benefit behind the features. People mostly understand clean, but having their house cleaned or their business cleaned might help save them time, save them money, reduce stress, give them more freedom to focus on things that they want to be doing instead of cleaning. Various things like that. And so when you position your ads that way, a lot more people will click on them, which can lead to higher conversion rates. Tip number 8 is to test different ad variations. So one thing to understand with advertising is that you can have what you think is the best ad copy, or you can think you're using the best messaging, you can think that your call to action is the best, but you never really know until you actually test. One mistake that we find is a lot of people just boost posts from their Facebook page, and there's nothing really to test against with these posts. They want to get more exposure for their business and they think this is the best option, but that's not really the case, because you want to test various different variables, ad copy, images, and more to see what performs best. And so you can manually try and do this, but that can get pretty technical. It can take a lot of time. Or Facebook has a cool feature called dynamic creative, where you can actually insert a bunch of different variables like different images, different text, different headlines, and more. And Facebook will run those ads and mix and match and choose the best performing ones. And over time, you can see which ad combinations are the best, and then you can stick with those moving forward. So I highly recommend using this feature. This can help you optimize your ads quickly and see which ones perform the best. Tip number 9 is to optimize the landing page. Now, one thing to understand is that your ads can be great and it might get people to click on them, but once they get to your website, is that page actually optimized for conversions or not? Because if it's not, you might just waste a bunch of money sending people to your website only to have them immediately leave once they get there. And so some various different things you want to implement are things like benefit messaging, like I talked about, using real photos on your landing page. You want to make it easy for people to opt in if that's your goal, become a lead. So making your forms not excessively long and only asking the questions you absolutely need to provide an estimate. You also want to consider adding in reviews and testimonials on your landing page. Again, that's social proof, a third-party person talking about the benefits and quality of your service versus you just doing that. These are all different things that can improve the landing page experience. You also want to pay attention to the design of this landing page as well. If your website looks dated, it's just using a bunch of stock photos, it looks like you just set up a free website, whatever the case might be, that can turn people away as well. This also applies if you're trying to hire new cleaning technicians for your business. If they come to your website, again, it looks fake, it looks dated, it looks cheesy. All these different things can be red flags for people that are considering working for your company. So having a great website design, updated look, using real photos, great messaging, not only plays into helping you get more leads for your cleaning business, but also acquiring new team members and hiring new employees. Tip number 10 is to analyze important metrics from your Facebook ads. Now, one thing that we see as well is that people often look at the end goal or the end result. And certainly that's important. You want to pay attention to if people are converting from your Facebook ads, if they're becoming new customers or they're becoming leads. But at the same time, you might generate a lot of leads, but not convert people on the back end because your back end sales process and follow-up system isn't effective. So if you're seeing good metrics on the front end, things like cost per click, click-through rate, and leads being generated from your ads, but you're not converting people, typically that means there's a sales process issue or a landing page issue that's causing people to not convert or not to become leads on the back end. So some things to look for, you want to have a cost per click of somewhere around $1 a click. If it gets much higher than that, that could mean that the imaging is off, the messaging is off, the benefits you're offering aren't resonating with people, or your targeting might be off as well. This also applies to click-through rate. That means you want people to see your ad and then actually click on it and get to the next page that your ad is advertising. And so typically you want a click-through rate of at least 1% or higher when you're running your ads to cold traffic or people that don't know you. And so again, if your cost per click is significantly higher than $1, if your click-through rate is significantly lower than 1%, your ad messaging is either off or you're targeting the wrong people. Another important metrics to pay attention to is your landing page view percentage. And so what this means is people that actually click your ad, how many of them make it to the landing page. And so if this number is very low, typically under 80%, what that means is that your page isn't loading fast enough, or once people click on your ad, they just decide to bail and go somewhere else. And so usually that means that there's an issue with your website, that your website needs to be updated, your page load speed needs to be improved, and a lot of times this has to do with your overall website design. So if you're seeing a landing page view percentage that's very low, you might need to make some changes to your website. Tip number 11, the final tip for you, is to focus on ongoing management of your Facebook ads. Because one thing that we see happens a lot is people think that Facebook ads are more of a set it and forget it type of thing, where they set them up and then they just assume that they're going to work great forever and they never really come in and optimize their ad. Or they look at the numbers and they look at the metrics, but it's only after 1 or 2 days of a change that they made. And so there hasn't been enough time to gather enough data from your ads to make an educated decision. So sometimes, depending on what your ad spend budget is, it could take days or even weeks to gather enough data to make an educated decision on what type of changes you actually need to make with your ads. So monitor your ads daily to see if there's any significant changes out of nowhere, but give it several days or a week or more, gather enough data before you start making major changes to your ads. If you make changes too frequently, Facebook doesn't have enough time to optimize your ads, and this can really hinder your results. So again, hopefully you guys enjoyed these tips on optimizing your Facebook ads for your cleaning business. If you did, feel free to comment and share, and be sure to like this video as it really helps out the channel. If you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications to get the latest updates of videos we put out to help you build a profitable cleaning business. And if you're struggling to generate leads, we put together a free video training on the top 10 lead sources for cleaning businesses. So if you'd like to access that free training, there'll be a link in the description below where you can do that. But once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you more soon.